Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Tom Ollerton, and this is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what's good and bad about them. This week, as ever, we are brought to you by our partners Contagious. So please go to contagious.com and see all the wonderful thing they do, as well as finding cool ads for us to review every week. So before we see this week's ad, let's meet this week's guests.
I'm Laura. I'm Digital Marketing Manager at Gousto.
Hi, I'm Vicki DeBlasi. I'm the founder and owner of a virtual agency called Innovate Comms.
Hi, I'm Maeedah. I'm the comms manager for Reckitt Health for the Australia-New Zealand business.
Fantastic. What a panel. Let's see this week's ads.
Valentine's week can be a real drag. The cringy music, the cheesiness, and everyone always asking you,
"Hey, what plans for Valentine's Day?"
5 Star presents the Valentine's Day alibi. You can now say,
"I'm not in town. I'm going to my cousin's wedding."
And you won't be lying. Because we've just taken over an island and renamed it My Cousin's Wedding. We've created the perfect alibi. You'll be completely unreachable and as far away from Valentine's Day as humanly possible. Just scan a special edition 5 Star and you could spend Valentine's Day right here doing the best thing possible. Eat 5 Star. Do nothing.
Vicki, what's going on here? What was your reaction to the Cadbury 5 Star ads?
I liked the sort of the anti-Valentine's message on it. I like the degree of commitment in the execution. I don't think I've ever worried about somebody asking me what I'm doing. In fact, I don't think anyone ever has asked me what I'm doing for Valentine's. If the insight is not, I'm worried about what people are saying, but actually, I just want to escape all of the, all of the stuff they had at the beginning, the cheesiness, the lovey-doveyness, all of the sort of, consumerist claptrap around Valentine's, that actually, do you just want to escape from all that ridiculousness and do nothing? We've got a way to do that. For me, that would have felt a bit more authentic to them and to me as a consumer and watcher of it.
But in terms of the execution, I 100% agree with Vicki in terms of, do I really want to go to an island with no context? What is it really that I'm going to versus just, building that narrative ever so nicely and then just leaving us hanging in there. And I feel like it would have been all right for the context of the film. But if you go through all the full campaign material as well, if you go through everything that they're doing on PR or social, the why or what exactly is the alternative to all of this sappiness and this Valentine's Day madness is a big part that's missing for me. And that's probably what makes it ever so jarring in terms of, okay, I'm not that worried about people asking me that I want to, just vanish from my town and just go into nowhere.
It's kind of like a classic take of like a very done format for like an insurance company or a credit card company. Like almost at the start, it felt like they were positioning that kind of problem. And then it kind of lost me as it went on, because it feels like they were trying to do something experiential, kind of have that experiential activation behind it. But then they didn't quite do that, because you then were kind of entering a prize draw to go to this place. There were lots of comments about people like, "Oh, you've got me. Like, I really like this ad," but then it didn't go anywhere. Like it kind of stopped. There was no, like, they could have actually made a place for you to go to called My Cousin's Wedding. Did they? I couldn't find anything about it. Like there was nothing on the internet.
They went out there and did all of that effort to create that island, create an embassy. But it's not there. They're not talking about it as much as they should have, because when you look at the film, at the first point, that it feels like, because they're being so funny, maybe it's a joke. If someone's not putting in 30 minutes of their time really going through that entire campaign and trying to find content online and on Times of India or Mad Over Marketing and all these blog posts, can they really understand and grasp what is it really that the brand is trying to do? And you've got your answer here.
I also actually wonder whether, the Do Nothing platform obviously kind of extends beyond this campaign and has existed before and presumably after. And I wonder whether actually tying something into Valentine's Day that closely actually necessarily was the best thing to do, because actually your window in which you can build and do all of that kind of full marketing funnel execution that we've sort of talked about as being missing, you've got a very small window of time in which to do that. There is a huge pressure now as we're coming out of COVID of like, we need to be doing exciting things all the time. And actually, like, maybe they could have tapped into that a bit more and it would have had more longevity and given them the opportunity to build something more impactful over time than linking into a time where there's a huge amount of noise and potentially they've just not got sufficient window in which to build that full campaign in a way it needed to be built to be successful.
I disagree with you there, because they have like a partner brand called Cadbury Silk, and their messaging on that is how far will you go for love? And those two like played off each other massively. And a lot of the comments about people saying this resonates or like this is really interesting were actually the fact that those two brands were playing off each other. I don't necessarily think that they needed a bigger window of opportunity to build that funnel. It was just down to the execution of it more than anything, and them trying to do too many things. Even with the prize draw stuff, like, you didn't just enter a prize draw. There was something about like mining NothingCoin as well, which like
I saw that. I was so confused by what that was.
And there's literally like 2 sentences about it somewhere, and I can't really figure out what the details are. But you don't even just enter the prize draw. You have to mine some NothingCoin to enter the prize draw. And I just think they spent too much time like complicating this when they could have simplified it a bit and had that kind of full funnel with their embassy that they clearly built to take, like, have this press opportunity and like amplify that with like UGC and stuff like that, which we didn't see.
If the goal is that we want to get great PR around it, then just the embassy and making it a really big deal, to your point, could have been enough. If the idea was CRM and they wanted loads and loads of signups, then the focus possibly could have been more on what is it that I'm getting out of it? What is the prize? How important is it for me, or how exciting is it for me to be on that island, for me to go and sign up and give you all of my data? If we just wanted to penetrate a little bit more, then possibly there was just no point of doing all of that, and focus could have just been on the campaign, extending it really nicely to social. And I think the big area where I felt it could have delivered more was social, because you can do so much more now with all these filters and all of these, interactive platforms. And possibly the loss is not having that clear intent of what the end goal is. Is it PR? Is it CRM? Is it just getting the point across? Or is it more sales? Because then just scanning the chocolate and buying the chocolate could have been it. So I think too much happening at the same time.
What do you think the industry can learn from this, Laura? What would you be taking away from this?
I think just being focused and really clear on outcomes. It just needed to be kind of, okay, what are we actually trying to achieve here? And are we going to stop at the mid funnel? Are we going to go for the sales? Like, how can we make this as simple as possible for people? Because like that execution was so strong at the beginning. And then as you got further and further into it, you're like, hang on a minute, can I go to my cousin's wedding? Am I scanning a pack? Like, will I get to go to this island?
I would agree with that in part. I think it's essentially, don't necessarily feel you need to boil the ocean. I think that Maeedah probably hit the nail on the head in saying that there is a temptation to try and do everything. And this to me looks a little bit, and I think we've all kind of been there, where someone has a great idea and then we're like, oh, we could do this, oh, we could do that, oh, we could do this. And then it just kind of morphs into something. Actually keeping it small might have been a more better and more effective campaign. For me, I still think that core first insight is not quite right for me, and that sort of filtered through into everything else subsequently. So I think being really clear about what you're trying to do, and also being really clear about what your insight is, and that insight is valid and resonates.
So unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show. So what we're going to get you to do now is vote for how good you thought this execution was. So 3, 2, 1. A 2, then a 2. Well, 5-star, you have a 2. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us, and we will see you all next week.